In your headlines, the TCSPCA spay and neuter bus make their way to North and Middle Caicos. The Louise Garland Thomas High School held their sports day after COVID had them on pause. And more from the Education Week Symposium. From the PTV Broadcasting Headquarters in Providenciales, your number one source for news, I'm Erica Pinales delivering the latest from across the country this Wednesday, March 9th, 2022, right to your door. Newswatch starts now. Parents of children with special needs have completed the first rounds of training in applied behavioral analysis. Take a look.
The Department of Mental Health and Substance Dependence is seeking to equip parents of children with special needs with skills to become effective interventionists in their homes. A one-day event was held on March 3rd, and according to a release from the department, the parents were thrilled to be offered this opportunity, saying how comforting it felt to be in a room with other parents who could empathize with their unique challenges. For years, parents of children with special needs have begged to be provided with opportunities to learn how to better cope with their unique situations. And until recently, the Turks and Caicos Islands did not have many of these opportunities in country. Speaking to last week's training, Director of the Department of Mental Health, Dr. Alicia Malcolm, acknowledged training was very much needed because many parents have been feeling extremely overwhelmed, stressed, and even helpless at times about how to address the needs of their special needs child. Quote, "This training not only offered skills, it also provided emotional support and encouragement for parents." End quote. Attending the event were parents of children with autism and related disabilities, including ADHD and Asperger's syndrome, and participants were exposed to the first 5 modules of a 50-module course in applied behavioral analysis. Facilitating the training was Dr. Tio Gosu, a former special education teacher and a board-certified behavior analyst, and Ms. Cheryl Patterson, a master-level special education teacher and a board-certified inclusive education specialist. The department says the training is set to continue in April as participants complete the training modules in the ABA course. They have also promised to provide these parents with ongoing psychosocial support and peer group support. For PTV News Watch, I'm Delana Als.
The Ministry of Physical Planning and Infrastructure Development informed that the proprietors conducted demolition works on the derelict building formerly known as Harbour House have begun. Take a look. The demolition works are a result of amenity order directive issued on March 16, 2022. However, demolition works only just commenced on Thursday, March 7th of this year, 2022. The general public is advised that prior to commencement of the operation, the proprietors took several precautionary steps, which included all persons occupying the parcel were granted 4 months to evacuate and requiring the necessary permission for the road closure of the TCI Rural Police Force, Department of Public Works, and the Department of Motor Vehicles. 2 days prior to the demolition exercise, the proprietors carried out a survey of persons who remained to be evacuated from the building, and on the day of the exercise, the proprietors confirmed that all buildings were evacuated prior to commencement of the demolition exercise. Demolition protocol is usually a set of procedures to help better plan the demolition process so as to maximize the recovery of waste materials for beneficial reuse or recycling. We gather that the Department of Planning staff were on site to monitor the demolition work, and the utility companies were notified to make the necessary disconnections prior to the commencement of demolition. The ministry informed that no construction activities, including but not limited to the site clearance, should be taking place without the issuance of development permission and building permits. Purportedly, hoardings were erected to screen the site during the demolition work, and the ministry say that the debris should be removed from the site to a location approved by the Chief Environmental Health Officer. Don't go anywhere, more News Watch when we return.
This is a reminder that all PTV service accounts are due on the first day of each month. Accounts should be brought up to date by the 28th of the month to avoid disruption in service. Payments may be made on our office at Stubbs Diamond Plaza, Providenciales, Mides Plaza, North Caicos, and Airport Road in South Caicos. Payments may also be made online using Scotiabank, CIBC First Caribbean Bank, and Royal Bank of Canada. Please allow 3 business days for online payments to be processed. We thank you for your cooperation.
Welcome back to Newswatch. In our last newscast, we brought you some highlights from the Education Week Symposium, where Dr. Carlton Mills delivered on some of the shortfalls experienced within the education system that may be hindering success for every learner. In this news report, he shares suggestions on a way forward.
If we are going to attempt to address this theme seriously, we must stop being the guardians of a curriculum that is time sensitive. We must focus on each child and not allow any child to flow through the education system like the rolling tide. The current curriculum lacks flexibility. It is too rigid and places far too many demands and restrictions on teachers.
Dr. Mills took attendees through a step-by-step approach outlining the ideals to getting the Ministry of Education, the country, and all students to the reality of attaining success for every learner. And this is how.
There are certain strategies that can be used to ensure success for all learners. These are: provide proper organization and structure of work through setting clearly defined goals, learning objectives, and standards to determine performance outcomes. Secondly, provide frequent and motivational feedback. Third, provide authentic learning experiences with personal and real-world experiences. And finally, provide opportunities for students to work independently and make individual choices.
The basis of the symposium was to bring to the forefront both in-house and national issues that may present as proven setbacks to the achievement of success for every student in the TCI. He also presented on partnering with other regional and international countries that would assist with the educational development.
Take a look at our neighbor, the Bahamas. They have successfully designed a system which suits their purposes. I am not sure it is not perfect, but it is this. They have done it in collaboration with one of the top universities in the UK. What is stopping us from doing the same thing? We are an overseas territory of the UK. I'm sure we would have more clout in developing a partnership with a British university than the Bahamas did because of our BOTC status. We can also engage other neighboring overseas territories to undertake collaborative work with us towards designing our external examinations, since there is more that binds us together than those other countries that we tend to copy. The same can apply to higher education. We can develop a system where each overseas territory takes the lead in specializing in a particular area of study, and all students from those partnering territories attend the institution in that country. For example, the TCI Community College can be the center of marine and fishery studies. Collaboration is key if we want to have real success for every learner. Our system over the years has been a follow fashion one. We attend conferences and copy almost everything that we see being done by those external bodies.
When it comes to higher education, he speaks on regions personalizing and offering specific skills on a national level that can be provided for other countries.
We can develop a system where each overseas territory takes the lead in specializing in a particular area of study, and all students from those partnering territories attend the institution in that country. For example, the TCI Community College can be the center of marine and fishery studies. Collaboration is key if we want to have real success for every learner.
And this was just a few of the suggestions made during the symposium. Dr. Mills continued to emphasize the importance of catering to the individual needs to ensure individual success.
Residents of North and Middle Caicos can look out for the TCS-PCA spay and neuter bus in their neck of the woods pretty soon. Here's where and when you can meet them.
1 year after their last clinic, the TCI Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals is resuming its mobile spay and neuter clinic, and first to see them will be the Twin Islands of North and Middle Caicos. From Monday, March the 14th to the 19th, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., residents can bring their cats and dogs to be spayed and neutered to help prevent the stray animal population in these islands. Susan Blair, Executive Director of the TCS-PCA, says these outreach clinics are vitally important to pet owners in the TCI, especially the owners who live on the family islands, where currently no regular vet care exists. Residents are urged to call Patty at 242-8604 to make an appointment for their pet. Patty will also be able to offer any advice residents may need about the welfare of their pet. Blair is urging all to help stop the flow of unplanned puppies and kittens on both North and Middle Caicos by making sure their pet is spayed or neutered at the clinic. She expresses thanks to residents from the Twin Islands who provide accommodation, food, and transportation for the volunteer vet teams, adding that the success of these clinics hinges on the efforts of the resident volunteers who round up dogs and cats and make sure that each animal is spayed and neutered at the 5-day clinic. For PTV News Watch, I'm Delana Isles.
Don't touch that remote, we'll be right back. Coming up next is your Sports Authority and weather forecast.
This is a reminder that all PTV service accounts are due on the first day of each month. Accounts should be brought up to date by the 28th of the month to avoid disruption in service. Payments may be made on our office at Stubbs Diamond Plaza, Providenciales, Mides Plaza, North Caicos, and Airport Road in South Caicos. Payments may also be made online using Scotiabank, CIBC First Caribbean Bank, and Royal Bank of Canada. Please allow 3 business days for online payments to be processed. We thank you for your cooperation.
Welcome back to Newswatch. Here's the latest in your Sports Authority and weather forecast. Cordell Campbell Forbes, principal of the Louise Garland High, told Newswatch how elated she was at the sight of the first sports day after the COVID outbreak come to life, and that she is privileged to be a witness to all the stars being born on the track.
It's just an exciting time to be here with our students, our teachers. Everyone is just having a wonderful time as we put on an excellent show of athletics display this morning.
She explained that due to the pandemic, the high school was forced to hold back on activities of such large scales, and now that restrictions have allowed more flexibility, the feeling is one of freedom.
Liberating. Really liberating. I mean, we have really gone through a lot with the COVID-19 pandemic. And when I gave my opening remarks to the students this morning, I reminded them that the ancient Greeks used sports to identify the strength of their citizens. And so we use sports to identify the courage and the talents that our students have. And of course, we're saying, hey, COVID, go away, because we are not going to be defeated. We are taking all the necessary protocols, but it's just an amazing feeling to be back here showing our endurance, our students showing their resilience amid the COVID-19 endemic.
Forbes said that it is indeed a blessing to be present at the sports day along with her colleagues and to be able to administer to the students. She takes so much pride in each day as part of her teaching career.
I am very excited to be here. I am, it's just a feeling of gratitude to God that I am able to be here today among my co-workers, among our students, and just watching everyone give of their best to the different houses. We have Mills House, Adams House, Clare House, Thomas House, and there's just a feeling of excitement and great anticipation in the atmosphere.
Speaking to the excitement of the kids, Cordell revealed that they were overjoyed with the news of a long-awaited sports day, and they simply couldn't wait to get on the track and show off their skills.
They are really excited. They are elated. I mean, the students are here in their numbers. They are cheering. They are getting involved. This time, every student wanted to take part and do something. So that speaks volumes to, the feeling of having sports day return to the Louise Garland Thomas High School.
The Louise Garland Thomas High School is home to over 600 children, where physical education plays a major role in the lives of the children to promote wellness and health. Giving acknowledgement to the sports department, Cordell shared with Newswatch that the department worked tirelessly with the kids in order for the day to be as successful as it was.
Our PE teachers, our sports department, they've done an amazing job in putting this all together. It's over 600 children, so that's not an easy feat. But our PE teachers, Mr. Jody Pusey and Ms. Katie Ann Young, they remained determined to make this meet happen, and so we are here right now enjoying this moment.
Finally, Cordell Forbes expressed her appreciations to the parents of each student for the continuous support to their children and school, which allowed for a day of smooth sailing and accomplishment.
All I would want to say is a big thank you to our parents for always believing in us, for always supporting us, and of course to our students. Like I said, it does not end here. We are looking forward to the inter-high school meets that will be taking place on the 12th and 19th of March. And of course, Louise Garland Thomas High School, we have something to say, and we're going to go out and represent, because we are the #1 school in the Turks and Caicos Island.
Here's your weather forecast for March 10th, 2022. For the nation's capital, Grand Turk, on Thursday, mostly sunny skies, high 80, low 75, winds east-southeast at 15 to 25 miles per hour. For South Caicos, mostly sunny skies, high 80, low 75, winds east-southeast at 15 to 25 miles per hour. For North and Middle Caicos, mostly sunny skies, high 82, low 75, winds east-southeast at 15 to 25 miles per hour. For Parrot and Pine Key, mostly sunny skies, high 81, low 75, winds east-southeast at 15 to 25 miles per hour. And on Providenciales, mostly sunny skies, high 81, low 75, wind east-southeast at 15 to 25 miles per hour. Now for your sunrise and sunset. Sunrise 6:03 a.m., sunset 5:57 p.m. And for your high tides and low tides, high tides 12:56 a.m., 1:18 p.m., and low tides 7:28 a.m., 7:17 p.m. And that's it for your weather forecast. We'll be right back with more Newswatch.
Here at People's Television, we're more than just your leading news and entertainment services. We are
spreading the gospel.
We are breaking barriers.
We are preserving the culture. Each one, teach one.
We are committed to excellence.
We're creating change.
We are creating memories.
We are the future.
I am PTV.
I am PTV. I am PTV.
I am PTV.
We are PTV.
We are continuing the legacy. We are PTV.
Welcome back to Newswatch. The Ministry of Physical Planning and Infrastructure Development has released an update on the Housing Stakeholder Engagement Forum, and Newswatch brings you the details.
Minister of Physical Planning, Infrastructure and Development, Honorable Akira Mizik, says that findings of the Housing Stakeholder Engagement meeting revealed that the startup cost for purchasing and building a home in the TCI is cost prohibitive, simply too expensive. This from their sit-down with banks and lending corporations. The minister revealed that her team is looking at ways in which some fees like stamp duty, charge duty, legal and survey fees may be reduced in order to make buying and building a house more affordable. When it came to discussions with developers and realtors, officials came out with better news in that these persons and corporations were ready with access to land and capital to create sustainable housing solutions. However, TCIG's job would now be to develop a framework which would consist of concessions on materials and infrastructure costs, along with other factors to encourage mixed-use developments throughout the different communities. Officials say access to this information and the National Housing Survey puts the ministry in better position to complete the housing policy in order for it to be presented to cabinet and the public.
This story has so much valid information that we thought we'd run it again just in case you missed it. To combat the urgent threat of declining coral cover, resulting in devastating loss of both biodiversity and the high-value services provided by reefs such as surge protection, food security, and tourism, the DECR is working closely with the Joint Nature Conservation Committee in a training workshop between the 7th to the 11th of March in conjunction with the Turks and Caicos Islands government.
Today we're having an event for us to do some coral reef monitoring. Now, in TCI and with the DECR, we've had a lot of different monitoring techniques that we've done for our coral reefs. Starting off at something that was very basic, we then expanded a few years ago into something that was a bit more comprehensive. Now we're taking it a step further and we're doing something that the region is trying to come together and develop as a regional standard. That's connected to a network, the Global Coral Reef Monitoring Network, which is trying to develop these monitoring standards throughout the world. So what we want to do is be able to not just monitor our reefs, but we want to monitor our reefs to something that's going to be comparable. Once we can compare our reefs to, say, the Bahamas, the DR, we're able to get a better idea of what the true value of our reefs are.
Coral reefs are vibrant ecosystems that face a very uncertain future under current climate predictions. The Global Coral Reef Monitoring Network's report highlights an alarming decline in coral cover globally.
Our objective is to get our team trained up so they can meet those standards and survey the right way. Our follow-up is then once we get out there and do our monitoring, then we can inform the ministers and the management personnel here in the department.
We're informed that the TCIG focuses on training 10 environmental professionals from governmental and private sectors in the Global Coral Reef Monitoring Network methods, surveying coral reefs.
So what we're going to do is have a series of classroom lessons, starting from very basic overviews. Then we're going to move on later on where persons will specialize in a couple techniques within the monitoring scheme. Then we're going to get out in the field. We're going to practice those skills first, laying out transects, starting to identify some of the different marine taxa, be it corals, invertebrates, or fish. Then the following day, we're going to go out and actually collect some data. Following that, we're then going to work on inputting that data into the appropriate formats. From that, we're then going to talk about how we're going to design our monitoring strategies. So again, we've had some monitoring strategies before, but we're going to consider whether there's better ways to go about doing that to see something more representative for TCI.
Dr. Stuart Wine, a marine ecologist with over 15 years global experience, including several years working in Anguilla as the Deputy Director of Fisheries Management, is leading the group in 3 days of theoretical training on identification and monitoring fish, corals, algae, and other ocean critters.
This is an opportunity for us to potentially improve further from where we're at now. So we've been quite comfortable with the level we're at, but we want to try and see if, one, we can have a standardized method, and two, learn from some other experts, and maybe they have some steps that we can take on to see how it can be a better monitoring strategy. So we'll see if that'll be something that we can develop further or whether what we're doing now works.
We gathered that transferal of knowledge between experienced surveyors from DECR and those new to both the theory and practice will build national capacity for monitoring the status of our coral reefs.
So what we have now are some UK partners that have come in to support us with that. This is all funded from the Conflict Sustainability Fund from the UK. We have the Joint Nature Conservation Committee who's come down. They've partnered with us to get these international experts. So the international experts with us now are also from the UK. We're also partnering with some other UK overseas territories in the Cayman Islands and Anguilla, Montserrat, and trainings are going to be taking place there as well. So all the UK overseas territories are going to be working together to better manage our coral reefs. Within that, locally, we've also invited our NGO, the Turks and Caicos Reef Fund, to join us for monitoring.
Roddy told Newswatch that the training sessions will last up to a week, from which persons will then apply what they've learned into further teaching themselves.
So this training is going to be about a week long. Beyond this, then the individual persons taking part in the course are going to continue training themselves, learning to distinguish between the different species. Some species are quite similar visually, and so it's going to take a little bit of practice doing that. And so we all are going to continue learning while doing. This is giving us that foundation where we can then take the ball and run with that.
McLeod told Newswatch that what he looks forward to most from the training sessions is the fact that everyone will complete each session gaining a new and very valuable skill.
What I'm looking forward to is learning a new technique here. And so it's very, very similar to the technique that we've learned before. So a few years ago, we did an agri-training program. This program is based off of that. And so some of us are very familiar with the techniques here. My background has been benthic organisms, corals, algae, and the invertebrates. This time I got an opportunity to start learning about the fish a little bit more. So that's good for me. Some of our participants have more of a fish background, and they'll be able to diversify into the benthos side. This way, when we bring our team together from Grand Turk, from South Caicos, North Caicos, wherever, we're going to be able to have more flexibility as far as what team members are available, and that way we continue our monitoring strategy.
As the sessions will be a learning experience for all the trainees, giving them knowledge on things outside of their respective fields, the DECR plans to start monitoring our coral reefs later in the summer, where these skills will be applied and practiced proficiently.
From here on, we're looking forward to start monitoring our reefs. We're going to do some monitoring later on in this summer. And this is going to be a recurring activity that takes place. So every several years, we're going to do something throughout TCI. That's going to maintain what's going to be our baseline. Then we're going to be in the place where we can start to look at something a little bit more specific, where we can go into detail with the Princess Alexandra or the Columbus Landfall National Parks, see how effectively those national parks are doing, and the management of that. Or what we can start doing is look into sites where we know fishing activity is most heavy. We can go to areas where we know foreign poachers come and target our reefs. This is something that's far more aggressive than our local fishers. So we can go and have a look at those areas to see how heavily impacted they are being from the fishing activity. So it all gives us options going forward. But what we need first is to make sure we have that standard, and that way we can work together throughout the region much more.
That brings us to the end of this edition of The Real News. I hate to leave you so soon, but of course, you can join us right back here every weekday at 6:30 p.m. and tap into our social media platforms at www.ptv8tci.com. I'm Erica Pinales, keeping you informed, updated, and affiliated. Until next time.